What's up? What's up?
What is going on?
Crew here.
You know exactly what I'm doing right now. Trying to
Filling out registration forms.
fill in our registration form. Yeah. So
Jacob, what's good?
What's up? What's up? How we doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Getting the game. I love it.
yeah, it's an
We
honor.
here. I love it.
This is
Love
where I met Jacob, right here.
Yep. Yep. Crazy. It feels like time has flown. It feels like it's been longer though, somehow at the same time. Like I think it's only been 2 years, I think,
Oh,
since
is
I
it really
first attended one of
2 years?
the classes. I think so.
That's crazy. Yeah, I thought it'd been
Oh,
three
it's two
years.
years? John, when did you start? When did you start this?
I think maybe 5 years ago now. So, I mean, I started with just like blogging, just writing articles. So,
No, this is cool.
we got Christian hopping on. Christian, he's going to be at our game. Actually, he was at our Calgary game, and he'll be in town with his team on Thursday.
Oh, okay, perfect. Christian, what's going on? Oh, he's muted.
Yeah, sorry, I was just saying I'm good. It's good to, I guess, formally meet you, sort of face to face. I know we chatted on the
No.
group chat a little bit and stuff, but
Yeah, no, the pleasure's all mine. We appreciate you.
I'm just happy for the opportunity, happy to help out wherever I can.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Now you've
Sir.
been putting together some impressive stuff. The database you made.
I'm trying, man, trying to give you guys some value and give us an edge here.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take it. Austin, Sean, Noah, good to see you again. Noah's coming in from France. What time is it?
Hey everybody. It's about 2 a.m. right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
You're the man, brother. Appreciate you.
No, what part
Uh,
of France are you in?
I actually live near Paris, like south of Paris right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I lived in like Reims or Rouen, so maybe I'm not saying it
Oh,
correctly.
oh, that's
Yeah,
it's pretty cool part of France to be fair.
yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, but
Well, go ahead and get
it is cool
started
there.
here. So appreciate everyone coming on. This will be a 2 day summer league crash course. So basically, for any of you going to summer league, it's just a chance to meet some other people who are going to be there, connect with one another in class. That's one of the most valuable things here is just when you go to summer league, having relationships and connections already, so you don't show up at summer league and have starting from some step one. This will solve 5 steps from you just meeting people that are going to be at summer league, knowing who you can sit with, meeting other people there. So we'll bring in some guests here tonight, other people who can give you, some best practices at summer league. But then also, this is just valuable for basketball in general, and so we got some great crew here. So I'm just going to go ahead and introduce some people in the class who you can either meet at summer league or kind of a part of our Get in the Game crew. So Mikey V, I'll start with you. If you want to just give me the 30-second synopsis on yourself and best practice at Summer League.
Hey, Johnny, thank you. Michael Weisenberg, originally from Toronto, Canada, but live in Portland, Oregon now. Worked for NBA Draft.net, Pro Insight, BAM testing, and went to Summer League a couple times in my life. And I just think first off, you want to be organized. You want to go in knowing who to meet and who to talk to. Roll in with a crew of people if possible, and I think that'll just help you get connections as well. And yeah, just I would say honestly, like jot down notes and listen to people in this course because they've been there, they've gotten jobs, and I think it just is fantastic advice for anybody that wants to go there. So yeah, thanks for having me, Johnny.
No, appreciate it, Mikey. Bjorn Zetterberg, we met with the Trailblazers. He was with the Magic. He's currently with Cerebro Sports, and he was hanging out with us in Brampton last week. Bjorn.
What's up, guys? Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago in Brampton, but no, it was a great time there, great crew. Yeah, as Johnny said, my name's Bjorn. I'm located in Portland as well. Was with Portland for about 7 years, Orlando for two. Was an NBA analytics consultant for a couple of years as well. Have been with Cerebral Sports for about 3.5 years now. I will be going to Summer League July 11th through the 13th, so feel free to hit me up on Slack. If you guys want to say hi in person, I think that's a big step. In terms of best practices, I've got about 2 pages worth of some pointers that I will post in the Slack after this course. And yeah, if you guys have any questions or concerns, feel free to hit me up on Slack.
Awesome. Thanks, Bjorn. And speaking of Cerebro and hanging out in Brampton, Jacob Sutton.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Jacob. Like John mentioned, I do like product and some basketball app stuff for Cerebro. I met John in this. I think it may not have been this course. This was probably my second course I officially did, but I'd done the training camp course a couple years back. It's been a wild ride ever since. So yeah, I will be at Summer League as well. I think about same dates that Bjorn will be out there, so July 11th through 13th. Hit me up if you're out there. Would love to, meet up. I know a couple of you guys that are in the room definitely could be meeting up with already. But yeah, always awesome to be here. These courses are always awesome. I couldn't recommend them more.
Awesome. Thanks, Jacob. And another one of our OGs and our first ever Get in the Game 101 intern. And now he's assistant basketball coach. And Alex, I actually don't know if you're going to Summer League or not, but Alex, what's up, man?
So, John, yeah, I'm absolutely going out. I'll be there the 11th through the 15th. I went out in 2024, hung out with Bjorn, hung out with Jacob. I see Yash is in here. I met with him out there. Yeah, definitely come prepared. Like Mikey said, we'll go over a lot of that, and I hope to see you guys out there.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. Yeah, he mentioned our guy Yash who's hanging out in here. Yash was also a student here and now working for the Indiana Pacers. So shout out to Yash if you're on here. Also, we got another one of our guys, Danny Thompson. Danny, are you going to be at Summer League?
I will. I'll be in Vegas on the 8th through the 13th. So my name is Danny Thompson. I work at ESPN. I am also a graduate of this class. I met John, Bjorn, Mikey V, and Daniel Marks. Actually, Daniel was gracious enough to give me a lot of pointers in this class on just preparing for elevator interviews. And so because of his elevator interview, he helped me get a job at ESPN. So I'll be there. Like I said, I'll be out there the 11th to the 13th. Like I said, for anybody who wants to catch up, I'm always down for a coffee. So
appreciate it. And Danny sent me a coffee today. So thank you, Danny. Yeah. And so kind of the format, we're going to have a bunch of different people here to connect with today. And then Daniel, he'll lead tomorrow and he'll do like Danny said, some mock interviews with you guys and best practices and interviews. And so anyway, on that note, we're going to kick things off with Jermaine Rock Anderson, a Canadian legend here and a veteran of Summer League. And so Jermaine, could you talk to us just a little bit, just, briefly of your basketball career path, what you're up to now, and then how that is dealt with how that affects Summer League. What's your role there?
No problem at all, John. First and foremost, man, thank you for the invite, and this is really cool. For me, born and raised in Toronto, like many players, the goal for me was to make it to the NBA. Even though I didn't make it, I played in Europe for 11 and a half seasons, representing Canada for 14 years. So basketball was my entire life, and when I retired from playing in 2018. For me, I was just trying to figure it out. I went back to school, did my MBA, intern for the 905 for a bit, got an opportunity to work in Shanghai for the Shanghai Sharks for 2.5 seasons. And, for me, I felt like when I retired from playing, everyone was trying to push me into coaching. Wasn't necessarily something that I wanted to do, but I loved the player development side. So being in China, working for the 905, working for Canada Basketball was great because I just got to work with players all day, but it was never a means to become a head coach. But the first opportunity that I got with the 905, I traveled out to the G League Showcase, and that was right around the same time when I got signed on to be general manager of the Brampton Honey Badgers. So I was able to use that to be at the showcase, to meet people, to identify players. and then I've been at the showcase and summer league ever since then. So for me, it was I wish I would have had this when I was younger. Because similar to some of you guys in here, you guys are much younger than I was when I transitioned, but just being able to connect with people is a blessing. And I will say, like, when you're out there, I would say, like, try to establish a connection early if you haven't done so already. So I would say if you have a warm connection, meaning that if you know somebody that is tied to an organization or somebody that you want to connect with, I think reaching out to that person might actually help you. And I would just say, like, just be yourself, and just be genuine, right? Like I find that, like, if you're not personable, or if you're trying to be something that you're not, like, people are easily able to snuff that out. And then if there are people that you are trying to connect with or meet, do your due diligence beforehand, like watch an interview, read articles, um, try to learn something more than what the person actually does, right? So do they have a dog? Do they have a favorite TV show? Whatever it is, and if you could find common ground, um, I think you just have you have a better opportunity to connect than talking about, like, obviously you guys are all, everybody in here is smart and intelligent and has different skill sets, but if you could connect on a personal level and on a human level, then I think that will set you apart.
Yeah, no, that's some good words, Jermaine. I'm gonna piggyback on two things you said there. Just great nuggets for everyone. But the be yourself conversation, like, if someone's gonna hire you, they're gonna hire you because they like you. And so, like, a lot of people try to be what they think someone wants to hire, but you can't be that the whole time. Like, you can put on a face for a little bit, but it's not gonna last long. And the thing that I learned is there was people that I interviewed. So I worked with, I didn't introduce myself, but I worked with the Trailblazers for 15 years in the video room, the scouting department, and now I'm the assistant GM with the Honey Badgers. But one of the things I did with the Trailblazers was hire interns, and there were so many people who either tried to be something they weren't, which they don't come across as likable. But then the other thing that I learned was there was people I didn't like that other teams hired. And I realized, you know what? Each team has their own flavor of who they like. And the key is just to be yourself. Because all it takes is one person to like you. And actually me and Jermaine were talking about this today, but it's like of just like people hire you because they like you. Like, you have to have some experience and a skill to get your resume looked at, to get in the door, and then eventually you just bring people on you like working with. And so like he said, finding common ground is huge. Because the thing is, like, if someone gives you a handshake and talks to you for 5 seconds, that's a win. Like, don't be disappointed if someone just, oh, they didn't have time to meet with me, but they just shook me. That's a win, because you may see them again and now you've established a connection. But if you have common ground, like, or like Jermaine said, like, read their books, listen to their podcasts, find something out about them, and you can start a conversation, then, that's another level. We'll definitely go ahead and open it up for conversation here. So anytime you guys have a question, you have a raise your hand button that you can raise up. If you can't find it, you can just raise your hand and we'll call on you. But Jermaine, talking about Summer League, can you tell us now, as a GM of a franchise, what does Summer League look for in your role now?
I mean, for me, I still see Summer League as a reunion. For me, I get an opportunity to run into former teammates, guys that I've played against for a number of years overseas, or from a national team standpoint. Obviously obviously watching the games, and trying to identify players that we could potentially bring in for the upcoming season. For us, for the most part, right? Like, we're midway through, so we're not at Summer League. We're not necessarily looking at players for the season, for the summer, but for the following season. And then just, like, establishing contacts with agents, right? Like, just being able to put a face to a name, or if there's an agent that we've worked with in the past, just making sure that I say hello, because obviously, with John and myself, our roles, like, the relationship with the agent is everything. and we want to be able to get the players, the best players that they have. So it's mainly just agents identifying talent and just connecting with friends and people that for people that I'm trying to meet, throughout the process.
Yeah. No, no, I mean, piggybacking on that, but just like everybody here is going to have like a function, like you're there to, connect, network. But then, like Jermaine mentioned, like the friends, the reunion, it's a huge basketball reunion. And that's a big part of it. Like the people who you know or are friends with, like hang out with them. Like I always tell people, you're better off just hanging out with people than paying $1,000 to go to a conference. Like the only value to me in all the conferences and things is meeting people at those things. Those people aren't gonna give you a job because you gave them $1,000. Now there is value in certain ones that like because you can meet people at those. But I think if you can establish connections prior, it's probably more value for your money. At the same time, I don't want to speak ill of all the conferences because if you're looking to gain a specific skill set and they're offering something there that can be valuable, but my thing is always don't feel like you have to spend thousands of dollars while you're there because the main action is in the hallways. That's where you're going to meet people, connect with people, and build relationships and hang out with your friends at games. All right, Christian, talk to us. What do you got, brother?
Yeah, I appreciate it. This might be a little bit of a weird question because this is about the like summer league in particular. But as somebody who's gone to the G League showcase for a little while, it sounds like Jermaine. Do you think there's value in somebody like myself trying to network and attend that? I've talked to some people around summer league, and I won't put anybody on blast, but they've kind of said like summer league is so hard now. People are so busy; it's become such a spectacle. Just go and have fun, right? Which I don't fully buy into, but I'm wondering what are your thoughts on somebody like myself or some of the others on the call going to the G League showcase?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. I will say there is, for me personally, I believe there is more value attending the G League showcase because, for one, you're going to get more face time, right? Like you don't have, a slew of people. It's only basketball personnel, right? Front office, agents, etc. It's a bit more exclusive at the showcase, where I think Summer League is a free for all. So if you are looking to have more meaningful conversations, I will say the G League showcase is a better bet than Summer League. Even though I do feel there's tons of value obviously being at Summer League, but I will say you can have more meaningful conversations at the showcase for sure. I don't know how you feel about that,
Thank you.
John, but that's how I feel. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Christian.
I was just going to thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, good question. We'll see you Thursday, Christian. Noah, what do you got?
Yeah, I had a question for Jermaine actually. Looking at your background, knowing that you played in college, right? And then you went to Europe, went to plenty of places, and then you came back then to have those, as you said, those more managerial roles. I was wondering, what do you think about the value of these experiences? As in, you were in the US, you came to Europe or different places. Do you think your experience being from the US meant a lot to them because you brought something new to the table? And do you think that when you came back to the US, you did bring something new to the table, knowing that you went through all these places and you through Europe, different systems and everything?
No, that's a really good question. Yeah, I would say like everywhere that I've been able to travel to, every city, country that I lived in, I would say it was extremely valuable. One, I got a chance to meet people, so I was able to expand my network. Two, I was able to learn, right? Like as a player playing in Germany in comparison to Croatia or Spain, like every league is completely different. So I was able to learn different styles of play. And then obviously being able to work in China, that was a whole new world for me, right? Like being able to see how the Chinese do things, the different systems, the different arenas, being able to meet agents and different people out there. And then so like now, obviously being back home now in Canada, I've now been able to take all those different experiences, all the people that I've been blessed and fortunate enough to have been able to meet. And now, within the role that I'm in now, right? Like I'm able to utilize all those contacts and all those experiences, to help our organization, right? So like it's just like I said, it's all about FaceTime, right? And if I didn't play in France or Spain, there's no chance I would have been able to meet the people that I met, and then establish those relationships. But besides that, like the one thing that I did was I maintained contact with those people. So even though I left, right, in Europe, it's not like the NBA, right? Like you're on one team, you're in one country, the next year in a different country. So I made a conscious effort to maintain those relationships. And now if we need intel on somebody, or we're trying to gather information, I could reach out to those contacts, and it's definitely beneficial.
Okay, great. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll to piggyback for Jermaine, but like he said, just using, utilizing the contacts we have, like probably shoot every day, every other day, a player comes through our wheelhouse that we're looking at that played in China. And Jermaine automatically has a contact in China to reach out to and get information on that player. Or, with you, Noah, like you're from France and Jermaine played in France. And so like the common ground thing of like, just the experiences that Jermaine's had around the basketball world, those play into everything. So yeah. Jermaine, could you tell us in your time at visiting, going to Summer League, some of the things you did from the first year to things you've learned of how to just approach Summer League in general, through the years going to now?
Yeah, I would say like the first year I was like just so I would say I was just desperate. And then like I just reach out to any and everybody on LinkedIn instead of actually like taking the time to figure out, okay, like who am I potentially connected to through somebody else. But I would say now I'm a bit more intentional, right? Like I know where my people are at, and if I want to speak to somebody, I'll just reach out to them, right? Instead of just like blindly reaching out to somebody on LinkedIn, which was I was notorious for that. But like for me, I didn't know, right? Like I was fresh off the court, I was just trying to figure it out. I knew that I wanted to be involved in the game. I knew that I definitely didn't want to coach. But I would say is like that's like the one thing I learned. And the other mistake that I made is that I wasn't necessarily concise when speaking about myself. Or maybe I should say I was too concise. Like I didn't necessarily like talking about myself. So when people would ask me questions, when people would ask me like, my journey, it was really short, just because I was uncomfortable. And I fought myself because I was trying to remove that former player stigma for myself. So I would introduce myself as something else instead of just embracing the fact that I did play, and I was a former player, and I should be happy about that. But it was just like an identity crisis that I was going through, and I had to figure out. But I would say now I'm a bit more confident when speaking about my playing career, and just being a bit more intentional, with what it is that I'm asking or looking or wanting to learn, I should say.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. Alex, what do you got?
Hey, so I'll ask this question to John or Jermaine. I wanted to get you guys' input on the best methods at showcasing the work that you do in an atmosphere like Summer League, where it's in person, it's really quick, it's brief. You don't want to take up too much people's time. We're past the days of handing out hard drives, but I know that's pretty much frowned on. Handing out your resume, a paper resume, is going to get thrown in the trash nearby. So, what are some good ways to kind of showcase, the stuff that you create, or your knowledge in these settings?
Yeah, I guess I mean I'll start out. I would say I don't know if you want to showcase or present anything when you're meeting somebody for the first time. I think it's more so establishing the connection so that you're able to present whatever it is that you have, for that individual. I think for me personally, I think that's more beneficial. Like if somebody walked up to me with like a resume or pamphlet or a hard drive or something, I'd be like, this is weird. Um, but I would just say just establish a connection so that the person would be more receptive to whatever it is that you have to offer. That would be my advice.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, Alex, you summed it up, but like a hard drive, people used to give me flash drives all the time. I'm not putting someone's flash drive in my computer that I don't know. So it's like, don't waste your money or time on flash drives. Same resumes. Unfortunately, people hand me, I mean, cards aren't bad, but like I don't know if I reached out to people who handed cards to. It's better than a resume, probably. I think like Jermaine said, the best you can just establish a connection. If someone's sending me work, I probably want to see it through my work email. If you can establish a connection with someone, get their email, to me, like even phone numbers, like if you can get someone's phone number, that's cool. But like I personally don't like when people ask me for my phone number when I don't really know them. It just kind of makes things uncomfortable. You're like, you feel like you have to say yes, but you're like, please don't contact me. So to me, like the email is the easiest and most professional place to coordinate. And that's even in general, like even as you're cold reaching out to people right now to make connections, like LinkedIn is a great way to do that. And like Jermaine said, connections of connections. If you know someone who knows someone, and I mean that's you guys signing up for my class here. I get to introduce you to all my friends tonight who are hopefully going to be at Summer League. Like you're meeting people. These are people hopefully you can meet at Summer League. And that's a great way to do it. But yeah, I think it's just like Jermaine said, that just establishing the connections and then going from there. Austin, what do you got?
First of all, I want to say thank you for having me and for this. I guess it's a two-parter. I guess the first one would be like, I don't know how comfortable everyone or the speakers are. Like, I guess everyone else in this class is. Is it possible to just, I guess, kind of send a request on LinkedIn to be like, hey, I'm from, this program, so and so. It was a pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to hear you speak. Would it be okay to connect? I guess this would be the first part of the question.
Yeah, is
Uh,
that from your John? Oh, go ahead.
but yeah, I mean, you can go ahead and answer that, and then I guess I'll ask my second question afterwards.
Yeah, for me personally, I would say yeah, like anybody in this class, like in this class, like you could John, you could give him my phone number. Like for me, like because it like I would say like this is a warm connection, right? Like you guys are a part of this program. John and I are with each other every day. So if you text me and it's just like, hey, like I'm one of John's guys, like for me, like yeah, please feel free to reach out. But I will say, like, if you are going to go the LinkedIn route, I would say, like, yeah, identify where you listen to the person or where the contact was established, and then like go from there.
Perfect, thank you. I think the second part is I know there's a couple people or speakers that were video coordinators for certain teams. I was curious, for someone like myself that doesn't necessarily that hasn't I guess played basketball at a high level, like let's say like in college, um, what what would you advise or like what would you recommend for someone to kind of start their career getting into a role such as that?
Yeah, well, for one, like being a former player, like I wouldn't say there's necessarily an advantage, right? Like I think like I said, like a few years ago when I retired, I was in the same boat, right? Like just trying to figure it out. But it's like the one thing that's like I would say is like a commonplace is like you work for free. Like I know that I did with the 905, I didn't get a dime. It was kind of like a partnership with the coach. Like I was on the court helping them out, and then I got access to like the front office so that I was able to learn. But I would say if you're able to establish a connection with somebody or an organization, and if you're able to get in and provide value and assist, I think like that's like the best way, to get in, personally.
Yeah, and I'll on that, like the value for former players is if they're 6'9" or taller. Is
Yes.
that right, Jermaine? Like if you're
Yep,
six
yep.
nine or taller, you have an advantage. Teams love hiring former players who are big. But outside of that, like the rest of the jobs, they're open. If you can produce good work and people build a trust and a relationship with you, and someone, like I said, back to likability, it's like, I mean, some of the people on here have been on these calls before, but everybody who comes on here has a different story. Even like when I worked in the league, like I was amazed my first job, whereas like the 8 people next to me, we all had different degrees. And I'm trying to think. I don't even know if any of them were former players. And so like there's lots of different opportunities for everyone. And like I'm trying to think even like Jermaine, like Coach Serta, who we hired as our head coach. I don't know when he played. Like
Yeah,
maybe high school. I don't know.
maybe high school. Yeah.
It didn't even come up in our interview process. Like
We just assumed he did it.
yeah. And so yeah, I think, whatever you just become an expert and the best at, like you're good, man. The opportunities are out there. So we're gonna take one final question for Jermaine and then let him get out of here. Danny, what do you got?
Jermaine, thanks for joining the class. John, of course, great as always. So I'm gonna ask both of you guys this question. Y'all been in the summer league. Of course, we all know Cox Pavilion is, it's pretty much like a regular college gym, and Thomas and Mack is more of the arena setting. Where are the best places to sit if you're looking to see personnel, looking to magically just run into somebody? Is it okay to sit in the upper level of Thomas and Mack, or is it more better to get in the lower bowl in that setting?
I mean, John, I'll let you. I'll answer this first. It's better to be in the hallway. That'll be my answer. It's better not to sit at all. Like if you're in the
Okay.
hallway, you're going to meet everybody as they're going back and forth between games. That's my experience.
Yeah, same. I think in the gym, it's harder to strike up a general conversation with someone because they're probably either watching their own team or scouting a game. In the hallway, though, people can linger in the hallway forever. So I would agree. I think that's a great question to ask any and every speaker that comes on here to see if you get different opinions. But I definitely like the hallway to me is where it's at. So for me, yeah, if people came up to me while I was watching a game, I wasn't a fan of it. But at the same time, for people I was interviewing, if I liked them, I would usually take them to a game with me just so I could kind of experience sitting at a game with them and being like, if we had a good time sitting at a game, it's like, okay, we could probably do this 81 more times, And so I do think there's value in sitting with people at games, but as so long as they bring you in with them.
Thank y'all very much.
All right, appreciate you, Dan.
Thank you.
All right, Rock, thanks so much for coming on with us.
Appreciate you,
Any
man.
final words of wisdom of life or hoops that you'd like to leave us?
No, the only thing I'll say is just believe in yourself, be genuine, and just have faith in God. If that's what you believe in. But like I said, all of you guys are amazing, and like I said, be yourself, and hopefully I'll see you guys next week in Vegas. Is it next
Awesome.
week? All right. Next week.
Sometimes. Yeah. All right, Rock.
All right. Thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate it. All right. Take care. Daniel, I see you, man. I love the Canada shirt. All right.
Yes, sir.
It's the Hurricanes. I can't say much more.
All right. Well, fired up for our next guest. Actually, we haven't met Daniel Marks yet, but I'm going to let Daniel introduce him because Josh was a big part of our course last year in the interview process. So, Daniel, you want to introduce Josh for us?
Yeah, hey everyone. Daniel Marks, General Manager and NIL Strategist for Howard University men's basketball. Been there the past 4 years. Previously spent 9 years with the Milwaukee Bucks in a variety of front office roles. This is, I believe, year 4 teaching this course with John. I believe we started in 23 and it's 23, 24, 25, 26. So it's been great to see so many alums go on to roles. Josh Coley was someone that we did a mock interview with last year, and he sent a really nice follow-up to John and I via email, kind of talking about his experiences and the challenges and opportunities that he was facing transitioning from coaching high school basketball to trying to find a role in the NBA. And about maybe 2 months after he sent that email, I was on Hoops Hype and saw an update that the Brooklyn Nets had hired Josh Coley as a scout among sort of their basketball operations updates. And so he is now a scout with the Brooklyn Nets. And it was really, neat to see him get that opportunity after going to Summer League and attending this course and asking really thoughtful questions. So, Josh, great to have you here, and congrats again on all your success.
Yeah, thanks, man. Hey, Daniel. Good to see you. Good to see you. It's I think I was trying to catch up with you down in the PIT, but it's really good to see you. Congratulations.
Yes, that was the Bryce Harris PR. I was trying to just,
Yeah,
and he ended up getting summer league with OKC.
awesome. It worked. It
It
worked.
worked. So
Well, great.
yes, yes,
Great.
I will have much more time to catch up at summer league now that Bryce has an agent that's not named me.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I look forward to it. Hey, John. Um, hey, y'all. Thanks for having me on. I'm I guess ecstatic to be here. I was on this class on the other side last year, so I'm super excited and happy to give back and help in any way that I can. So it's good. I guess a little bit about me. I start that way. That's what we want, right, John?
Yeah, yeah. No, I appreciate you, Josh. Yeah. Well, just yeah, tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got, your role with the Nets.
Yeah, yeah. Very unique journey. So I started off, went to college, played in college, finished college, thought I'd never play again. Um, did like some semi-pro stuff, but went to law school and I got an MBA as well. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna be an attorney. This is kind of the route I'll go. I had an internship maybe my 2L year and I hated it. It was at a firm. And then I had to backpedal a little bit. So I did not want to do that. Ended up not knowing what I wanted to do. Took a little time and started coaching. Started coaching high school basketball at the varsity level. Um, thought I'd only be in a year or two, and I get out. 1 year turned into 14, 15. Did a little AAU in between, little EYBL stuff, and then finally wanted to make a transition. Knew I didn't kind of want to go to college, and started on the quest to see what may be available in the NBA, and signed up. I connected with John. John connected me on this course. I got on the course. I'd been going to summer league probably 2 years prior to joining the course, and just kind of like there, trying to figure it out. But I took this course. It was great. Daniel was great. The whole group, everyone was great, helping me um, throughout. And I kept plugging away, and eventually found my way into Brooklyn. And it's been great. I just finished year one. And if you want to call it that, I guess I'm just finishing year one. It's been a great experience.
No, that's awesome. Now could you tell us a little bit, this will be your first summer league like working in the NBA, right? That's
Yeah.
awesome. Can you tell us what summer league looked like before and what it'll look like now for you?
Yeah, yeah. Before it looked like I was buying tickets. I was saving all the money. My wife trying to figure out why I'm spending so much money going to Vegas. So I'm saving the money, staying in a hotel room, like just kind of going to the gym. No rhyme or reason. Fortunately enough, I had coached been blessed to coach some very good players throughout my coaching career. So some of those were like playing. So I got a chance to go see some of my former players play. But when it came to like trying to get a job, I didn't even know where to start. So I was like sitting in the bleachers looking around, like, hey, I think this is this guy. I think this is this guy, like trying to make just connections. Some college coaches were there, so I would talk to them and try to get in, but really didn't have any rhyme or reason as to why and what happened or what to do and like the path to follow. I think I took this class, and I will say, in the course, it really challenged me to kind of come up with a plan. So last summer before I went, I kind of sat down with a plan and said, okay, this is what I want to do. Like these are the people I want to connect with. This is how I want to make it happen. And it's funny, I hopped on and y'all were talking about where to meet people, right? Like where you meet people. I had probably, and now that I think back on it, it's probably my second in-person interview with our assistant GM in like I don't even know what they go up to in Thomas and Mack, but like in the upper deck, he was sitting by himself. He sent me a text message, told me to come up, and we sat up there for like 45 minutes by ourselves up there and just talked. Like just talked and got to know each other even more than we already did. And yeah, like that was I've been hanging out in the hallways, I've been hanging out in the bleachers, and what really got it done was probably in the 300 level of the Thomas and Mack, who was sitting up there just supporting people. This summer it'll look completely different. So I go down on the 7th. I'll work the Nike event down there and be going back and forth, following our team, practices, having to scout like other teams as they go through and guys that might be available, free agents or some people we may look at throughout the season. So this summer I got a little bit of I'll be working. I got a bit of a task, I think.
Yeah, well, hopefully, you should come up to Toronto and check out some CEBL players and see if you want to
Right.
bring any of them back with you. We'll open it up for questions too right now for any of you guys who have questions for Josh. But Josh, could you tell us a little bit about just some best practices you have for connecting with people at Summer League?
Yeah. I would say, and I wrote down a couple of them, I would say one thing would be you never know who knows who, right? So like that person that you may not put much stock or credit in, they have their own like list of network, right? So I always say like you meet the person, but the person has kind of like lines going off of them to many different people. So you never know who's connected to who. Um, our like assistant GM used to work at USA Basketball. So like it worked because I was a high school coach and we had some players playing USA Basketball, and that was like a tie-in a little bit for us. So you never know like who knows who. I would say go in with a plan and like stay persistent. Like I was the guy that would show up when the game started at like I used to be at probably 2 years ago. I would show up. My plan was I'm gonna get there at 10 a.m. I'm gonna go home at midnight. Like I'm gonna just stay all day. But I didn't have a plan. Like I was just in there. And it was like, okay, it'll happen by osmosis. Last year, I kind of had a plan, and it was I'm gonna try to talk to 5 different people like every day. And those 5 different people turned in, and all you need to do is talk to one person, the right person. And but if you're going at 5 a day and you're there for 3 days, that's a minimum of 15 people who can help you or connect you. I will also say one thing that I probably underestimated that I get now is the power of agents. So like it used to be, hey, like an agent can't help me. It's gotta be, this person. They got the hiring power or whatever. But now that I'm in, agents are probably they're more willing to talk and more inclined to talk because they're not, they're babysitting for the most part. So they're not doing much. And then two, a lot of the agents also represent the front office people. So when you're like looking for something, they know the ends. They know one guy I was very close with was Drew Gross. And Drew he's a great friend of mine, but I never thought about Drew as like a connector at all. And I mean, Drew now has Dylan Harper and Ron Harper and all the dudes, but at the time he was just a good friend. And like now Drew's representing, some people in the Celtics and like the front office staff as well. So I would say that was one big thing that I think I didn't catch until probably last summer, that the agents they tie in a little more than you think. And then, be okay with hearing no. Like I heard that we don't have anything right now. Or, I think the worst thing wasn't for me was we don't have anything right now, but it was like we don't know. We might have something. We're not sure what we're gonna do with it yet, or something like that. And you're just kind of waiting. You're playing the waiting game. That's okay. Like get that and follow up and stay persistent. And the more they hear your name, the better.
Yeah, no, that's a good word. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah.
Christian, what you got?
Yeah, Josh, as somebody who's been, or I guess is going to be on both sides of the coin here now with Summer League. One, I guess, have you had people kind of already reaching out to you, trying to connect with you? Like, talk about, maybe you could talk about like the good and the bad that you've seen on the other side, and then like maybe a little bit more about how you would, in your experience, like to be approached, whether that is like an email first or a LinkedIn connection or, stopped in the hallway, whatever it might be for you.
Yeah, I am. It's a great question. Nice to meet you, Christian. I'm a bit different, like because I guess my path was so unique. I try to talk to everyone. So like I don't really care how you hit me up. I know I've been there. So like I've been trying to make inroads, email, Twitter messages, um, cell phone, like whatever it might be, cold calling. I've tried that. So whatever people do, like I'm big on like if you reach out, then it means something to you. So the least bit I can do is respond and take, 5 minutes or so and just talk, and help in any way. So yes, some people have hit me up. No, I don't really have any preferred method of contact. I think it's just I know everyone's doing the best they can do, and everyone has a dream. I had the same dream. So I'm happy to talk with you and happy to share whatever insight I may have.
No, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, and just on that, like Josh is such a warm, kind, generous person, and like there's a lot of people like that in the NBA. I think people see NBA people as so distant, and it's like, man, same thing. It's like so many of them, like we all got an opportunity from someone, and a lot of people want to give back, and so don't be afraid to like reach out and meet people and not like not everyone's going to be a yes. There's going to be a lot of no's or people who aren't interested, but there's going to be a lot of people who are interested in giving back and helping you. Tony, what do you got?
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. Man, this is really, really nice. I'm glad that I logged in, for this platform. Really, really good information. I had a question for either Josh or John. In your efforts in trying to connect with people, and what was it that you had in mind in terms of positions? Did you like laser in on one particular thing that you wanted to do to pursue, whether it was coaching, whether it was scouting, video room, or was it like, man, I'm open, like, man, I just want to get something, anything, anywhere, get my foot in the door, and then try to move laterally, into that thing that I really ultimately want to do. What's your take on that, on how to pursue that? Because that's something that I think about all the time. It's like you got to be, like sure and direct on what direction, or man, just let me get in.
Yeah. That's that's a great question, Tony. Nice to meet you as well. That was probably a big thing for me. I never forget I was talking to our assistant GM, like I had coached for so long that like I didn't know I was very familiar with the college game. I was not familiar with the NBA side. I heard front office, you want to get in the front office, and I didn't even know what all the front office consisted of, right? So I started off being, I just want to get my foot in the door. Like hire me for anything. Well, like there were some things, analytics, like that ain't me. So then I started thinking about it, like, well, what if I get hired for analytics? Like, what do I do from that perspective, right? And so I was kind of checking off what I didn't want to do, what I knew I didn't want, or have any interest in. Coaching. I got twin boys, they're 11. They at the time they were probably 9, 10. I knew I didn't want to coach. Like I knew 82 games, that would be too much on my wife. We didn't really want to move. So like I knew coaching, you had to go to the market, you had to be gone, stuff like I have a friend that coaches with Memphis with the Grizzlies, and he's like always out. So I knew I didn't want to do that. Um, I didn't know what I wanted to do though, but I could tell you the things that I didn't want to do, and I could tell you that like, you know, I wanted to get in. It wasn't until I spoke with our assistant GM, and he asked me one question. He said, "You think you'll miss coaching?" And I was like, I mean, I ain't really thought about it, but maybe not. Like, I can coach my son. Like, I'm just talking. And so I think that took it off. And then he said, I think, from a position like a front office side, we got like a basketball operations position. And I'm like, okay, well, what is that? And I was asking questions like, what is basketball operate? What are all the positions in the front office? What's cap? Tell me what, like, like the cap stuff. What is it? How does that work? And from a strategy standpoint, we talked through that. And then we got to scouts. And once I heard what the position was, I knew that that was what I wanted to do. Now, I also did not know that was probably the hardest one to get in, but I knew that was kind of what it was. So my advice would be educate yourself on as many of the positions that you know. Like just Google them. What all positions are in the NBA front office and see which one fits you. Because you'll be able to thrive in the area that fits you and that's what you want. And you'll have the time and space to expand to others. Because once you're in, you can do a little bit of everything.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer by Josh. I would say very similar. Like to research, and even Jalen, your question, and Hinatu, of how would you frame the opportunity, like doing research of what all positions are available? Because the thing is, like Josh said, once you get in, you're going to do everything, but you'll also be pigeonholed for whatever role is your role. And so, like video coordinator, a lot of people get stuck in video for their whole career because they're labeled a video coordinator. Actually had an opportunity I had accepted I was going to do a PR internship, just thinking like get my foot in the door and then I'll get over the basketball side. I'm thankful the basketball opportunity came up because I think if I would have gone PR, I think I would have been a PR guy for the rest of my career. And so there is like a balance to like, if you start on the business side, it's possible to get to the basketball side, but can be challenging because you get pigeonholed as a basketball or a business person. And so like Josh said, the more you can do your research and know like this is what I want to do, and then find people in the league who have that role and reach out to them. And then one, just a nugget I guess I would ask people for informational interviews. Kind of just going back to your question, Jalen and Hinatu, like that's why I say if I go up to someone and ask them for a job or for an internship, most people are going to push you off. If you ask what opportunities their organization have, what internships do you typically offer, what are entry-level positions, those are just general questions they can answer. And then for people, same thing. I'm not asking for an interview. I'm asking for an informational interview. And so I'm just looking to learn about their job and their role. And I'm not asking for it. Again, like going back to likability, if they like you, they're going to reach back out to you to hire you, or to ask more questions. But just gaining information in general will benefit. We'll do Noah and Danny, and then we'll wrap up there. So Noah, what do you got?
Yeah, thanks, John. Actually, what you just said made a lot of sense to me. One time, I had a coach who was looking for an assistant, and I contacted him saying, like, I don't want to interview, but I just want to know what you're looking for, the process, how it is. And then I ended up just talking to the guy, and he basically interviewed me as well. So I really believe in what you just said. I just had a question for Josh, because something he said clicked in my mind. He said he was asking questions, right? You were asking like, what is basketball recreation, things like that. And that made me think, asking this kind of question may make you look like you don't know, right? You're ignorant in some way. And I want to know, how much in your posture do you think it's worth it showing like, oh, I'm curious and I just want to know things, instead of being like, oh, all confident, oh, I know what I'm doing, hire me because I'm good at what I'm doing and I know who I am. Like, do you see what I mean? Like this posture. How much are you risking in asking questions, basically?
Yeah, I'm probably like a sponge, so like I don't really, I'm gonna ask, right? Like, and there is a great balance. So you don't want to like not know anything, right? But I feel like your values in your work, and that's another thing I'll say, like you always want to have or have access to like some type of work product, something. Like if they ask you, can you, like when I met in the 300s at Thomas and Matt with our assistant GM, he asked me, I'm getting ready to go meet with our GM right now and talk. Do you have something that I can show him? And I had something on my phone and I sent it to him and I was like, is this good? He said, it's perfect. And that was it. So If I didn't have anything, I don't know how it would have gone, but thankfully I did. But your confidence will be in your work, right? Um, I think that's it. And I also think it's important to like come in and you're not like I walked into a team. So, and we have scouts that have been on our team for, I do, and I also say this, I wanted to be in a role where I could scale. So some of the roles you're going to be in that role, that is your role, and it's a miracle to break out. I wanted to scale, but you have some scouts that have been here for 10 years. This is what they want to do, right? They're only a scout. They don't want to do anything else. This is it. I got some colleagues that have been here, 2 years. So I was going into a team, and it was important for me not to walk in kind of the same thing as you're playing, right? Like if you play before or whatever it might be, you got freshmen coming in. If you're coaching, you don't want them to come in and feel like, they're better than the senior, right? You want to learn from them. So it was important for me to come in and show like humbleness, like, hey man, like I do my work, here's my work, but I'm all in with the team. Tell me what I need to do. Tell me how am I doing? What can I do better? I want to learn. I want to meet the group. So yeah, it doesn't hurt you to not know because I think and John, you probably could talk a little bit more about this, but it's so secretive that like if you're not in it, you don't know. And like the intel is so important and they guard it so closely that like you have no idea what the positions are, right? Like you have no idea what people do in different roles. Because they just kind of operate in their pod. So in some ways it's kind of expected. It's good for you to say, look, I don't know, but here's my skill set. Like, and I think I'm strong in this, and I think I could do this, but like, and here's my work, but what do you think?
Yeah, no, that's well said, Josh. Yeah, you definitely want to have a air of humility in your approach because the people you're dealing with probably think they already know everything. So coming across as you know everything is going to be friction rather than how can you support and elevate them. Last question with Danny.
John, can I just say one thing real quick? To the question you asked about, are people going to think you're ignorant if you're asking questions? I would say the biggest piece of advice I give people is if you can find information online, whether that's a Google search, whether that's LinkedIn, whether that's an article, John writes, his blog, his Substack, like if you can find information there, don't ask like, hey, John, what was your first job in the NBA? Like as soon as someone asks something to me that's like publicly available, when they can look at my LinkedIn and see I was an intern for the Bucks, it's like an automatic strike where I'm like, all right, this person isn't, serious. But if it's like, hey, how did you go from being a manager at Vanderbilt to an intern at the Bucks to a full-time employee with the Bucks in the span of 18 months? What was that transition and process like? Then it's much more likely to get a response and a good answer. It's so if you are able to, like I always say, like research, ask as many, do as much research as possible on the person that you're trying to connect with and have detailed questions where it's like, okay, they've come into the conversation prepared. When people just call and say like, how can I get into the NBA or how can I automatically check out and go on to cruise control. But if they ask specific detailed questions that are based off of research that they've done, then I'm much more likely to engage and really listen and try to help them out and also consider them for potential opportunities.
Yeah. All right, great. Thanks. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah. Last question, Danny.
Josh, thanks for coming out and speaking to the class. You mentioned about scaling. Like you didn't want a position to be there in 10 years because you mentioned. So after being inside of the building for the last year and kind of seeing how things work in Brooklyn, like what are some of the things that like interest you about the scaling up process? Is it scaling up more in the vertical sense of scouting, whether it be international scouting, leading in domestic scouting, or like, is there other things that interest you in other parts of the front office?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I think, with scaling comes responsibility, right? So that can be a little double-edged sword. But I do think from me personally, getting to know, I started working recently, probably in the last month or so, with our strategy and cap team. So like getting to know that, learn that process, understand, the aprons and just assess what it looks like from a draft standpoint, from a trade standpoint, all that good stuff. That's been intriguing to me. That speaks to my experience, right? Like I was an attorney. I'm an attorney by trade. Our cap team, one just got promoted to assistant GM, but he's an attorney too, so we kind of speak the same language. But like, had I not been in, I would have never known any of that, right? Like, I would have never even thought to go over and talk to Makar and like, hey, what is this? Like, tell me how it works a little bit and see how, we can, my mind may work well with it, or like, I don't know it at all. I don't like it at all, right? I started in the analytical realm or dealing with our analytic guys, and I lasted maybe an hour and I was out. I was out. They were explaining to me why, like, analytically, one player was better than another, and I saw the player like 7 times that year, and I was like, wait a minute, something's wrong. Something's going on. So,
No, I appreciate it. One quick follow-up. I know you're from North Carolina, so what's your Bojangles order?
oh man, that's a good one. I'm a three-piece dark, um, with fries and a sweet tea with light ice, and I like a Bowberry biscuit with extra icing.
All right, you got me there to the Bowberry biscuit. We got to have a conversation. I'm a cinnamon biscuit guy myself, so when we get to Summer League, we got to have the conversation about the biscuit.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Awesome. Well, Josh, appreciate you. Josh, any final words of life advice or hopes you want to pass on?
Nah, man, keep going. Keep going. Keep, you never know when that opportunity may hit, right? Like you never know when it may break through. Just be ready for it. And when the opportunity presents itself, it you will have worked for it. So it will mean something to you. And if y'all need anything, um, feel free to reach out, John. You can share my number, my contact, whatever you want to do. And I'll be in Vegas from the 7th through the 12th. So I'll be there. I'll be by myself probably the first 2 or 3 days, and then my wife and boys are coming in on the 10th when we start playing. So it's they're all hands on deck. They're super excited. So if you see them or see me, like come up and talk.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Josh. Appreciate it. Great to see you, and have a great time in Summer League.
All right, y'all be good.
Later.
Wow.
All right. Jeremiah, awesome to see you, brother. Always good to see you. Jeremiah, you're probably maybe the most OG of this course this summer. I think you've come every year we've had this. So anyway, Jeremiah, you want to give a light introduction of your basketball career? Actually, a good thing, me and Jeremiah, we actually met at Summer League when I was with the Trailblazers, and me and Jeremiah, I used to host morning coffees and to meet as many people as possible. And shoot, I feel like 10 out of the 15 people who were in our first group ended up working in the league. But Jeremiah was someone, we met through some mutual connections, and we actually met at Summer League, and now he's with the Bulls. So Jeremiah, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How are you doing, guys, doing tonight?
Good, good. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about your basketball journey, and then we'll jump into some stuff at Summer League?
Yeah. So my basketball journey, I was manager at Dayton University of Dayton when I first got there as a freshman. My sophomore year, I ended up walking on, and great. We had good success there. After that, I was a GA for a year at Bowling Green State University, and then I was an intern with the Mavericks, and then I went back to be a GA at Arkansas for 2 years under Coach Muss. After that, I went to Houston. Yep, went to Houston with the Rockets, and then I was in the video room there for 4 years. Got to be head VC there my last 2 years, and been with Chicago for going on to hopefully here to year 3. So that's my journey. It's a lot more it's weird. Now you actually have some length to that.
You've been a lot of places. I feel like
Yeah.
since you've been like 3-4 different places since then.
I've been since we met. Yeah, I mean, I interviewed. Oh, when I interviewed with you first, I was in at Pittsburgh for 2 weeks with Duquesne. So
yeah, no,
a lot of
totally.
places.
Can you talk to us a little bit about just summer league in general and how you approach it? How do you connect with other people, and then what does your role look like now there?
Yeah. So for me with summer league, the way I use it to connect, when I was looking to get in, I just kind of so I went. I'll start actually with when I was coaching in college. I went to the Final Four in San Antonio with my best friend, my college teammate, and we both hated it. Like we just were not. We didn't really enjoy. We have you ever been in the Final Four? You know what I mean when it's just polo chasing, as we were calling it. Just trying to see. And so we didn't hang out with any. We really just hung out with ourselves and our friends, and that kind of showed me, okay, that's what I want to do when I go to these kind of things. And so when I went to NBA Summer League, I went with some friends, and we were all job chasing. GAs from Arkansas. It was like 8 of us. We were all job chasing, and some of us really were chasing. And I just decided I'm going to hang out. And so I was hanging out with people that I met, watched games with people, went to the coffee with John. And it is funny, like that coffee with John, I've met one of my better friends now in life, Alex Bowman, at that coffee. And it's funny how like we talk all year now, And then another one of my good friends who ended up actually giving me essentially my break into the NBA, back into the NBA, was Neil Ganta, who's now the GM at Illinois. Neil and I sat next to each other during the Raptors, I want to say Raptors Cavs game. I think it was Scotty Barnes versus Evan Mobley. And we just ended up like hitting it off. I offered to buy him food when I was leaving. He said, sure. I actually didn't bring the food because the line was too long. 2 weeks later, Neil calls me when I'm looking for an apartment in Lincoln, Nebraska, because I'm going to work at this company, do sales, because I was going to be out for the year. Neil calls me as I'm looking at an apartment and says, hey, I'm not going to take this internship with the Rockets. Would you be interested? Well, I had worked with Coach Silas in Dallas, so right off the phone, got off the phone with Neil, made a phone call to someone else to make a phone call to Coach Silas, and I had the Rockets job probably 24 hours later, and I was driving down to Houston within 48 hours, and I've been lucky enough blessed enough to work in the NBA since, and that literally came from a guy that I did not know that I just hung out with and watched games. And so I always kind of tell people, just go hang out when you're on the other side. Now, on this side, I go to Summer League to work. And it's funny, now I realize like what it meant for John to do those coffees in the morning, because I think everyone else is like, people always go, let's hang out during Summer League or whatever. And then it's like, well, if you're working, you're working. It's like it's a game day. It's a practice day. The off day is it's still a work day type deal. So I try to make sure I do my work first, because at the end of the day, that's what we're there for. And then afterwards, I just kind of try to connect with my friends, my mentors, people I haven't seen in a while. And through that, I meet new people. And so I just kind of keep it to my friends. Like I just want to see my friends that I haven't seen in a while type deal.
No, that's good stuff. And we'll open it up for questions here as well. And yeah, I mean, one of the things Jeremiah just said, like the basketball world, you guys will find like once you start meeting people, it's like such a small world. Because even at the conference, like obviously Alex Bowman, kept in touch with Luis Gonzalez was there. Luis is now scouting with the Cavs, and like for us in Brampton, a couple players we've been looking at recently, and I hit up Jeremiah and I hit up Luis, and from that coffee, and they give me intel, and then Stacy, we send Sean out to Luis. So me and Luis have been talking about Sean getting there, and Stacy is Sean's agent. So just like the circle of things is really small in the hoops world. Danny, I know you got a question, so we're gonna go to you, brother.
Oh no, I forgot to take my hand down. So you know what? I'm gonna do it anyway. So Jeremiah, one of the biggest things that you said is just like transition. If one day one conversation leads to the next. So when your experience in travels, like when you have to move at the speed of light, like what's the decision making process when it's like, okay, I have this conversation, this coffee, this, and this. Because like you said, I've heard summer leagues extremely busy for a lot of people. Like, how do you space out the coffees and the time, and you give to people and also work at the same time? How do you like space it out? Is it more of after the day is over, or is it before the day is over?
Well, that's a good question. I'll answer it both ways. From when I was out, not when I was looking for a job, man, I just went with whatever I was invited to. I was flexible with that schedule. Whoever would invite me somewhere, I went. Um, Now I am very much like, I won't make a promise, oh, I'm gonna meet you or whatever. I'll say like, hey, look, I'm gonna be at the gym. Like I might tell someone, hey, I'm gonna be at the gym for 2-3 hours. Like if I see you, like let's talk. Um, Versus some people, it's like, no, we gotta see each other, and we'll make hey, I'm gonna go to the gym, let's watch this game together type thing. But I don't really like make too many concrete plans, because let's say I make a plan, I want to go to the gym. Well, actually, I'll tell you, that happened 2 years ago. 3 years ago now. Oh, I'm getting old. My last year in Houston, morning, 9 a.m. I'm like, all right, I'm all set for we got practice at 12. We got a meeting at 11. I'm all set. I go to get a coffee. I'm pulling into the coffee spot, and the coach calls me, the head coach of Summer League calls. He's like, hey, I'm going to present to, I forget who it was in our front office. Could you come down here and set up the projector? I had the projector because I'm going to meet them at the practice facility where we're going to have the meetings and all that stuff. And so I had to run back, and that kind of taught me the lesson of, okay, you're working. You kind of like, I try to stay around the hotel and around whatever our coaches need in the hotel, honestly, in my room, up until I feel like, okay, are they done for the day? Is this coach done? Especially as a video guy, I got to turn around scout games. So it really becomes hey, I'm going to the gym. But I will say, like Alex Bowman, for example, I'm like, oh, Alex, bro, I'm about to go to the gym. Let's go get dinner after type, So it just kind of depends on the closeness of your relationship with them.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we'll take the last two questions here. Austin, what do you got?
Hey, so you guys were talking about how John was hosting like a coffee chat, right? And how that's how you guys ended up meeting. I was just curious, like, I guess maybe it's my understanding, and again, I could be misunderstanding. It seemed kind of like a cold connection in a sense, where it's kind of like you got somehow invited or found out about this coffee chat with John. And I was wondering, like, how can people like us become involved in things like this so that we can have the connection that you and John end up developing, and being able to do things like this?
I would say that coffee chat. So something kind of similar happened last year at Summer League. I was at the gym, myself and a guy, Kane Martinez. We were just talking, and a game was about to start. And then we went and sat down. And then Kane had a couple friends, and they came and sat down. And that's kind of like the coffee chat. That's two guys that I didn't know. And then all of a sudden I met them through Kane. I think those kind of things happen organically. But what I will say is, like, those are the easier asks. So, like, for example, I wish now more people would do hey coach, when's your bus leave for before this practice or whatever? I can be at your hotel, and I can, like, John made it so he did a good job of reaching out to us because we were young and we weren't going to do it. But it's easy as framing, instead of asking for a big meet, oh, let's meet at this game, let's meet at this dinner. Hey, where's your hotel? I will come in 10 minutes. I can sit in the lobby with you, type. And then that happens from there. But also, don't be afraid to ask people, hey, is there anyone else you think I could meet or would be down to talk to me while you're here? And they can connect you as well. But I'm going to be honest with you. We were lucky with John. We were. Because he was someone who was in the league, who was willing to take his time, who actually, I don't want to be rude here to a lot of, gives a shit about other people who aren't in the NBA. And oftentimes, everyone in the league is so concerned about oh, are you also in the league? You know, I know there's some people who wouldn't talk to me before I got in the NBA, and I've had to communicate with them, and they get to see the 3-4 texts I've sent them before, and they never replied. So you get lucky with those kind of people, but that's why you also surround yourself around those kind of people. So like, oh, if Alex is around John, I know John doesn't like assholes around him. So Alex is probably a good person, and it kind of like ends up going like that. But we were lucky. We were lucky. And honestly, it's for a lot of us to pay forward. And I think that's why everyone's talking about like, hey, hit us. We'll call. That's why I do this every year. It's just because this guy gave me a chance, was willing to talk to me. I need to pay that forward, So we got lucky, just being real with you with that coffee chat. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Nah, I appreciate that too, Jeremiah. The crazy thing, like the full circle of that, you probably don't even know this, Jeremiah. Kane Martinez, Kane was a student in here as well. That's how I met Kane, was he took one of these classes, and then he actually coached in the CEBL before I did. So then when I headed to the CEBL, I called Kane to get feedback on the CEBL and what was happening up there. So it's like
a world.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the thing, like with everybody you're meeting, one of the things we always talk about is people try to meet vertically. Like I want to meet all the head coaches and all the GMs and stuff. It's your peers who are more likely to help you out. And even me, I might have been, 7, 8 years older than those guys at the time. But now like we're all peers. And so we all work together. We help each other out. And so that's where even like, Jeremiah was saying, hang out with your friends, like at Summer League, like y'all are going to like rise together, and so just enjoy that time. All right. Last question from Noah.
Yeah, just a quick question for Jeremiah. Looking at all your career path, like I really like how you talked about how people like John like to connect with people and the human side of it all. I was wondering, with all the things you've done in the last 10 years or so, like different position, as you said, the Rockets position, you got it through an opportunity, knowing someone that didn't want to take it, so he linked you and everything. Like, how much did you struggle in a way? How much did sometimes you just figured like, oh, it's hard and I don't know where I'm gonna go next, and this whole stressful part, knowing that a lot of people that somehow it might happen, as everyone says, as Josh said prior as well, that keep believing, keep pushing through. But how much did you sometimes not lose faith, but in some way just question the process?
That's a really good question. And that's a long answer I could give you. I was done in Houston. They were really good to me when I was after my last year there. They let me go in April, and we're going to pay me through the rest of my contract, so I could look the whole summer instead of working the summer and then being late in the job market. I interviewed for, I want to say, 21 jobs in that from April till September. And not all NBA. So between the NBA and G League jobs, 13 of those were NBA G League jobs. I finished second or third for 10 of those jobs. And many of the jobs I was getting was, oh, you're overqualified. Oh, we don't want you to put you in this position. You're just head VC, blah, blah. And I was devastated. I thought it would never happen. I thought, no way. There's no way like it's over. I ran out of luck. I ran it out. I used it all up, blah, blah. But that's where it was my family. It was the amount of times I vented to my mom, to my sister, my brother, my dad, like my friends. And what I did also is I got a therapist that spring and summer because it drives you crazy. It'll drive you crazy, like wondering, why isn't this happening for me? Why is it happening for those other people? However, what I will say is, thank God I got really good friends and family who they'll let me vent, And then afterwards, very quickly, like, all right, but what are you going to do next? Like, because you're either done or you're going to do something about it. And so they always kind of helped me refocus there. And then really the other part was I'm just kind of like, I'm not special, unique, or anything like this. I think a lot of people in this industry who are like this, by the way. I don't, you're not going to like be like, no one else is going to stop this dream I've kind of created that I want to do. I mean, I was a team manager. I got cut from my high school team 7th grade until junior. And then I made my senior year. My freshman year of college, I didn't do anything basketball wise, but I just played at the rec and I was like, well, I can be on this team. I'm just as good as some of these guys. And so me and my best friend Joey walked on. Now, Joey got through the first tryout. I didn't get the first tryout, so I ended up being a manager until halfway through my sophomore year. Then I got on because they're like, this motherfucker's always around. Like, damn. Then going into after college, I was gonna go to D3 Capital as a GA. And I think August 23rd, which was 3 days before classes started, BG calls and they're like, hey, it's unpaid. Will you be here in 2 days? I was there in 2 days. So you just got to have like a relentlessness to it. I think I'm really blessed and to say I grew up in a family that was like, you just kind of saw things through and they push you for your goals. But I encourage everyone to get a therapist, to talk to people, but not people. And I just told one of our players this. Don't talk to the people that when you give them the echo chamber of, I think that I'm miserable doing this, because that John knows this. I probably call 15, 20 people throughout the year and I say, I'm having a fucking terrible time right now during the year. I don't like basketball. We're losing, blah, 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 blah. At the end of those combos, none of those people go, well, you should stop doing this. And in fact, I had a girlfriend one time, that was her response. Oh, you sound miserable doing this. We broke up 2 weeks later. Because I knew in my head, I was like, whoa, 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 let me vent to you. But like afterwards say, yo, go do this. I still work hard at it. And so that was something I would tell everyone is really just create a mental trap over yourself, because I swear to God, it almost feels like sometimes everyone's in the business is out to get you and they're not on your side. But if you work hard enough, persevere. One of my guys, he just got let go here. He's from Compton, so he always come by, but it's a marathon. It's a marathon. And it is a marathon. I'll end it with this. The reason why you just keep having faith. 11 interns in Dallas. I remember being so jealous because some guys got NBA shots right after, blah, blah, blah. Out of those 11 interns, 2 still in it. 2. Just got to keep going. You just got to keep going. But find some people to be your vent to. Like, seriously. Don't be going to sleep pent up, y'all. Like, because it is tough. It's tough. But you find some people that you can vent to, and then you just kind of keep going.
Nah, that's a good word.
Thanks so much. I just want to say, like, this answer means a lot. Like, it sounds like I'm hearing myself talking as well. So I really appreciate you for being that genuine and honest.
Of course. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Jeremiah, awesome to see you. We'll be in touch, brother, but appreciate you. And we'll, I think we're going to get we won't say the name here, but I think we're going to get your guy signed tomorrow. So.
Okay, let's go.
we got that done. So we're going to get him out to Brampton. You guys can see who it is soon. So, looking forward to that. But Jeremiah, we'll catch you soon, brother. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Stacy. Fired up to have you here, Stacy. Thanks for coming. Stacy Leewood is an agent for players, so just a very different perspective. So, Stacy, could you tell us a little bit just about yourself and your basketball journey and how you got into being an agent in the NBA?
Yeah, I mean, I guess to start, how many people actually know where Newfoundland is on this call? Are most people American? Yeah, so a couple. Okay.
Couple communities and
Awesome. Love to see it. That's usually where I start because a lot of people, the first thing that they want to talk about is, oh, I could never do what you do. Like, I'm from the middle of nowhere. I don't know anybody or whatever. I'm literally from a place called The Rock. the most easterly point of North America. There's never been an agent ever from Newfoundland, and I somehow figured it out when I was 23. So I promise you, you can figure it out. But basically, my basketball background started when I was like 5. I started playing. I ended up representing my province 4 times at Canadian Nationals. I went to Canada Games that the Americans might not be super familiar with, but basically it's like the Olympics for sports in Canada, and you have like your little athletes village and stuff, and it's about as cool as you can get as like a kid in Canada, I guess. So I did that. Then in university, I had scholarships to go to the States. I had scholarships to play in Canada. I made the dumb decision that I wanted to stay home. Our coach got fired that year, had already had recruits for next year. Then they brought in another coach from the same conference. He brought his recruits. So basically, we were all kind of screwed. I ended up playing like running track. I showed up in like my Jordans and my basketball shorts. I was like, I'm fast. I can do this. So that's what I actually ended up doing in college. Then after that, I was pursuing a business degree. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with it. My dad runs a business. We all just thought I would take over the family business. Did a couple courses in finance and realized I didn't really like that very much. And I definitely couldn't do that for the next 50 years. So at the time, I just booked a one-way flight to Toronto, which is about like a 3.5, 4 hour plane ride for the people that don't know. It's the closest city with an NBA team. I loved basketball, and I knew that I wanted to do something that combined like my passion for basketball and sports with like helping people, but I didn't know what that was because you probably remember me mentioning there's never been an agent. I didn't know that was a job. Like I knew in basketball you could coach and you could play, and that's about all I knew. But the year that I moved to Toronto happened to be the year that the Raptors won. And obviously, massive celebrations in Toronto. You get to see everybody that's a part of it, whether it's a ticket salesperson or somebody in social media or whatever. Everybody's posting, like, so proud to be a part of this. And then you look into it and you're like, well, what do they do? And that's kind of when, like, I got the ball rolling of, okay, there's other things that I could do in basketball. Then I just, at the time, I was just continuing to work in sales. That's all I'd ever really known how to do. I worked in finance, I worked in sales. I was still in school, but doing all my courses online. And basically, I went to a different market. I went to Edmonton, Alberta, if anybody knows where that is. And I was doing sales at the time. And some people that I knew that were just friends of friends that had played in Canada before happened to be playing on the Edmonton Stingers. It happened to be the first year of the CEBL. And I don't know if you guys know much about Edmonton, but there's not a lot to do in the summer. You can watch football, you can watch basketball, and that's about it. So that's what I did. Um, so I befriended like some of the players on like both teams. Football, I just never gravitated to like as much. We don't have football where I'm from, so it's not something that I knew much about, but I loved basketball. So I used to go to all the Stingers games. Some of the guys that like are now coaching or, GMs, presidents, whatever, like they'll laugh. I always had the same seat and I always sat there by myself and I watched the game. Like that was my activity. I was always there. And they used to joke a lot, like the players, about how like, oh, like my agent isn't doing this, or I don't know if they're a good person, or I don't trust them, or whatever. Something, it was always their agent's fault, which makes it sound like a terrible job, right? But the way I looked at it was, I can't be as bad as them. I'm pretty good at sales. And they used to say at the time, I was literally selling security door to door. 100% commission, there was no salary, but that's how I was making a living. And they used to joke and they'd say, if you can do that, you could definitely market our talent. They're like, basketball, you know it in depth enough to be able to market us. It's like, yeah, but like I don't know how to do that. Like I don't have the connections, whatever. Well, then the pandemic hit and I got laid off with the rest of the world. And I had nothing better to do but figure out exactly what an agent was and figure out how to become one. So I think it was 7 courses left of my degree, and you have to have an undergrad degree to become an MBA agent. So I finished all 7 courses in one semester, applied for the agent exam. I got selected, I guess, or however you want to talk about that now. The process is a little bit different now, through references and that sort of thing that I had literally only made on LinkedIn, cold adding people on LinkedIn. And yeah, so they let me write the exam. At the time, I didn't think that I was going to pass. You have to get 80% to pass the exam. You're studying legal documents. I was quite literally 23 and had never read a contract or any sort of legal document in my life. So that was a challenge. And I didn't think I was going to pass, but I was like, you know what, I'll do it anyway. What do I have to lose? It's the pandemic. Like, I don't have another job. And at the time, I was also simultaneously paying somebody that I met on LinkedIn who was doing the NBA assistant coaches program, which is a wonderful program. But if you think about it, only men can ever do it because you realistically have to have played in the G League or the NBA to get in. I couldn't have played in any of those things. So I found somebody who was doing it, and I made donations to the Drew League on his behalf every week for him to teach me what they were teaching him so that I could make a portfolio, bring it to a CEBL team, and basically beg for a job. And that's how I ended up working for the Guelph Nighthawks, which is now the Calgary Surge, which is who John used to work for. So like he was saying, small world. After I got like my agent status, I didn't use it for the duration of the summer because the CBL is the summer season and I didn't want any conflict of interest. But as soon as we got knocked out, our head coach and GM called me and he was like, you know the best player on the team that knocked us out. Call him, see if you can represent him. And I'm like, nah, that's crazy. Like he was like my friend, but like I don't know. It's like a scary thing to think of. You're just going to pick up the phone and call somebody and be like, hey, can I run your career for you? I know I'm 23 and I don't know what I'm doing, but can I? And believe it or not, he picked up the phone. He was like, if anybody's going to get me to the league, it's probably you. So let's give it a shot. And then the rest was kind of history. I didn't know anybody, so I cold called every single G League team until 3 teams offered him workouts. He went to the G League workouts. He ended up getting to pick his G League team. So 2 weeks into working with him, he's on his choice of G League team. 2 months into having him in the G League, we signed his first 10-day. Then he signed 2 more 10 days. Then he started signing 2 ways, and he ended up playing on the Clippers for 3 years. So at that point, I didn't even really think about it as a career. I was just like, wow, this is so cool. I got my friend to the NBA, like mission accomplished. But then the phone started ringing, and more people like resonated with like either my story or his story, and they're like, can you try and do it again for me? And then that kind of that's how I became an agent.
No, that's good stuff, Stacy. That's awesome. Yeah, so go ahead. Questions, feel free to raise your hand. But Stacy, could you tell us a little bit now as an agent, what does Summer League look like for you? How do you approach that? What's your role out there?
It's definitely the highest stress and most busy week of my life every year. The first year that I went, Summer League, for those of you that aren't super familiar, it's 11 days long generally. My first year, I went all 11 days. Every single day, I had a list of people that I was not leaving the gym until I talked to them, whether it could have been an equipment manager, a video coordinator, an assistant coach, like an associate head, a head coach, anybody that worked in the front office. If I had found them on LinkedIn and I knew that they were at Summer League, I had like a whole list of everybody I was talking to. There were hundreds of names on that list. Now it's a little bit different because obviously I know a lot of people, but it kind of never stops because every year there's new GMs, there's new head coaches, people move to college people move to the NBA, like some people like switch like leagues and it's never ending. Now I would say it's almost like 50-50 between NBA and G League people that I'm trying to talk to. But at the same time, I'm trying to talk to the guys from China, the guys from Australia, the guys from France, the guys from Turkey, because everybody goes to Summer League. So I know a lot of you are probably looking for jobs in the States or at least North America, but there's actually even more potential than that there. You just have to know who you're looking for.
No, good stuff. Christian, what do you got?
Yeah, thanks. Nice to meet you, Stacy. I'm actually a fellow Canadian. So first of all, I'm from Calgary. Everything you say about Edmonton, definitely true. Not a whole lot to do there. I was also fortunate enough to help out the X-Men doing some analytics and video work this past season. So definitely small basketball world. Crazy that you were at Memorial for a bit there. I don't really know how to word my question other than like, man, you have like so much confidence and just ability to just go and do stuff. And I'd love to hear more about like where that comes from.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, like I feel like growing up in sports, you kind of have to have like a certain level of confidence, but I don't think that that's necessarily for everybody. It can be positional. I was a point guard, for example. I feel like some people with the most confidence on a basketball floor are the point guards because they're in charge of everything. But at the same time, nothing in the world gave me more confidence than literally surviving off direct, like to consumer sales, 100% commission. Like I had to sell shit every day, or I didn't have money to eat. I didn't have money to pay rent. So it's like the thing I think that sets a lot of people back in sports, at least that I've seen so far, is people take no's to heart a lot, or like take people not wanting to help them to heart a lot. Like it's literally just a numbers thing. Like you can be like emotional about it and like that's okay, but you need to move on. And that's kind of like what I was talking about with like the list of I have like hundreds of people I want to talk to. If I can't find that one person or that one person doesn't want to make time for me, I literally have 100 other people that I'd like to talk to today. So it's like a numbers thing. Like you just have to keep going because you will find your people, you know, and there will be people that are more helpful to you than others. And kind of like what other people were saying before, you never know who those people are. There's people that are GMs of G League teams now that were interns, that were the lowest down video coordinator, that were like literally scrapping trying to get a job. And now I get to go to these events and I get to see them at like the G League Winter Showcase. And they're like, so don't tell anybody, but like I'm about to get promoted. Like I'm like, oh, cool, to what? They're like, I'm the GM of the team now. And I'm like, that is crazy. But that's what happens. Like to speak on everybody wants to talk to the GM or the highest up person they can find. It's fine if you're trying to sign a player to a contract, but the people that like are gonna help you the most are oftentimes the people that you least expect. And I'm sure I wasn't here for the first few people, but I would assume that most people made that comment as well because it couldn't be more true.
Yeah, no, good stuff, Stacy. Austin, what do you got?
Hi, Stacey. It's a pleasure to meet you. One of our previous speakers had mentioned how, and sorry if this question is kind of poorly worded. I wasn't really sure how to kind of state it or ask it. One of our previous speakers had mentioned like how agents may know of like opportunities of teams that, you know, that maybe other people may not talk about or mention. I was wondering kind of like how would someone approach you about kind of like learning of those opportunities, if that makes sense.
A lot of it, you mean for like coaches or like what kind of like who's the one looking for the job, I guess is my
I guess it'd
question.
be like, let's say like someone for myself, right? Like if I wanted to like, let's say pursue a career or like see if like what opportunities are there with for certain teams, right? Like I saw that like you represented people that used to play for the Hornets or stuff like that, right? So it's like, if I were to say like, hey, do you happen to know like what the approach be like? Hey, Stacey, pleasure to meet you. You know, little chit chat, kind of get to know each other, talk about things that are kind of maybe perhaps outside of basketball or what we relate to, right? But then kind of transition to like, hey, like, do you happen to know any opportunities with the Hornets, things like that, right? Is that like how we should approach it as people that are not like, I guess, established in the industry or like kind of trying to figure things out currently?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the best advice I can give you is don't be afraid to ask. Like, there's so many people that go to Summer League, and like I've had friends that are working in the space that I've convinced to go to Summer League. And again, I'm running around the whole time. Like, I have a gazillion people to talk to, but I'll catch them in like the concourse. I'm like, who have you talked to today? And they're like, oh, like I tried to schedule like a couple meetings with people, but like things went overtime and whatever. Like, when you're walking around that little concourse at Summer League, whoever you see in that second, grab them, ask them, hey, really quick, do you guys have any intern jobs available? Or hey, really quick, do you have an open video coordinator job? Like everybody can give you 5 seconds, but sometimes it takes so much more time to like plan and like figure things out that like a lot of people like yourselves that are looking for jobs, like you're more invested in it, you're more intimidated by it than like somebody like me who would like it'd be nothing to me to see somebody like John walking the concourse, hey, you know, if anybody has an intern job, you know? And like that's kind of like the level of indifference that I would suggest that you guys approach it with, because it's still a numbers thing. If you can run into, let's say, 50 people in a day, which at Summer League, believe it or not, is not very difficult. Ask every single one of them if they know of an intern job available. I promise you, at least half of them do. And that's kind of how I would talk about like approaching it. For me, I don't like, as like an NBA certified agent, we're not allowed to represent coaches in the NBA, the G League, or college. So I don't typically have a lot of those conversations other than just for like a friend. Like if a friend's asking like, hey, do you know if the Warriors have anything? Then I'll just go ask my friends at the Warriors and be like, do you have anything? If so, I'm just going to connect you directly. So I don't personally do that, but there are a lot of agencies that have somebody dedicated to that. And that's kind of the loophole in agent world is like, if you're an NBA player agent, you can't represent coaches. But if you have somebody else working at your agency that you can say is like dedicated to that, then you can. So some agencies can do that to like more of a capacity than others. But I would always help somebody.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I was also curious, would it be possible to add you, like, let's say, per se, on LinkedIn and just kind of mention how we kind of connected or like how I happen to know you from?
Yeah, no, for sure. Honestly, I would recommend you all take advantage of me being like a LinkedIn warrior during the pandemic and add me on LinkedIn and then go through everybody I'm connected to. There'll be a lot of gems in there.
That sounds good. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
No problem.
Piggyback on what Stacy said, just the numbers game there. One, be intentional with everyone you reach out to. I hate copy and paste messages, and they're pretty easy to spot. But my guy Zach Welch, I don't know if you guys know him or not. Met him at Summer League as well, but he had messaged me on LinkedIn. It was a very personal message, and we ended up having a phone call. We met at Summer League like 2 years later, and I asked him, I was like, "How did we originally connect?" And he's like, "Oh, I messaged you on LinkedIn." I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah." And he's like, "I messaged 1,000 people, and like 10 of you responded." And I was just like, "That's fascinating." Like just it's a numbers game. Like not everyone's gonna respond, but if you can personalize messages to people or like kind of Jermaine talked about personalized conversations, then you can establish that connection from there. All right, last question with Danny.
Stacey, thank you for taking the time to talk to us and also provide your perspective from being an agent. I kind of have a two-part question. As an agent, I looked at some of your clients list from like on Real G. I'm not sure how accurate it was. It seems like you have clients in the CEBL, plus you have clients in the G League, and you represent people across the globe. What is some of the biggest challenges when it comes to placing your players in different areas when you're at summer league? So if you're trying to get a player that might not be on a CEBL club that's trying to get, a training camp invite, like what are some of the ways? Because you said you come from a sales background where it's really a hustle, hustle, hustle. How do you have those conversations? Like how do you lead with, hey, so and so, I have this player. I saw that she didn't have this XYZ. How do you lead with that?
For me, and I don't know if this is normal or if this is just sales, but in I guess my preference is to actually study who I'm about to talk to and figure out what I think their problem is and find a player that fits or like solves their problem. Like I want to be the solution. Like that's the easiest way to get almost anything done is fix somebody's problem. So whether you actually had the opportunity to talk to somebody else in the organization and you know that they're looking for something, or you can just take an educated guess and then you just have to stand 10 toes down on it. If I go to a team and I'm like, think you could really use a big. And they're like, oh, well, we have this guy. It's like, still think that you could use a big, but maybe one that's better at like X, Y, and Z, whereas this guy's better at these things. And like, you just need to like make a compelling argument that you can like back up factually. And that's something that was like especially important for me because when I started, I mean, I look at this call, there's not a lot of women in this space, but also I was 23. I was from a school that nobody had ever heard of. Like everything that I said or did had to be backed up by film, by stats, by player comparisons. So a lot of it, especially in the beginning, is just like creating like the right narrative that you know what you're doing. And you can't just like expect people to believe that. Like you have to prove that. So it's like a lot of legwork in the beginning of I know what I'm talking about, but I'll prove it to you in 5 different ways. And like that's kind of how I went about it. Because like I'm assuming most people here know a lot about basketball. You don't have to be the GM of an NBA team to be like very well versed in basketball, but you have to know how to prove it, you know?
Yeah, thank you. And second question, completely not basketball related. Being a Hornets guy, I saw that you represented LiAngelo Ball at one point. I'm not sure if you still represent him now, but when he was transitioning to from basketball into music, you always had those in-depth conversations. Did you actually have a chance to listen to the music before he actually put it out to the general public?
Yes and no. So he always made music. Like the whole time I've known him, he made music. He made music before I knew him. I have clients that knew him before I did. And even when he played for like the Hornets G League team, he had already been making music. He just like didn't really like care to put it out. It just like wasn't what he was focused on at the time, but he always made music. And I always knew it's something that like he would pursue if he could. That being said, I didn't really get much of a heads up because he didn't know that it was going to blow up either. Like it was on World Star. It's not like it was like this in-depth rollout that it's like, yeah, like this is very intentionally planned. Like I had called him the day before and I was like, hey, like I think this team is about to sign you tomorrow. He drops Tweaker and then I called him back. I was like, so I guess you don't want that contract, huh? Like He's like, no, like I'm a little bit busy right now, but tell them like maybe in like a month. And I was like, I'm not gonna do that, but I'm really happy for you. And like, let's see where you can take this. Like,
Always love stories like that. Thank you.
no problem.
Yeah, that was great. Stacy, thank you so much for coming through. Great to see you. I'm sure we'll see you soon.
For sure. Thursday, I think.
Yes, indeed. All right, we'll catch you then.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
All right. Next up, we got our guy, Matt Jones. Matt, awesome to see you. I got you here at the correct time. Actually, Noah's back. It was me, Matt, and Noah at 2 p.m. or something. I don't know. I messed up all the time zones. But Matt, great to have you back, brother. Matt's had an extensive basketball journey. So Matt, could you just tell us a little bit about your hoops journey and then what you'll be up to at Summer League?
Yeah, I was GA at a D2 school after being an NAIA player. Coached junior college for a while. Was a prep school coach, but like probably most people on this call, wanted to get in the pro side. Started chasing NBA and G League stuff. Missed. I did some scouting stuff in the NBA, kind of under the table for a year for a scout I knew. And then I got my first coaching break, coaching in Israel. I was in top division Israel as an assistant. And then since then, I've been a head coach in Albania, assistant coach in Mexico. I've done some stuff in Japan. I was most recently just a head coach in the Czech Republic this past year. Also have done NBA pre-draft stuff for a couple of different agencies. So a little bit of everything. Like a lot of people in here, I'm still looking for my break to kind of crack into the G League NBA. So have plenty of tales about close, but not close enough.
Awesome. Well, we'll open up for questions, but also let's dive into that, Matt. You're headed to Summer League. What are some of your best practices of connecting with people there?
The first thing I would always advise is, like, for me, I've got a note in my phone right now where everyone I'm trying to talk to, I've already reached out to, obviously, whether that's Instagram or text or whatever, and I get the dates that they're there, and then I have it all in order. So I know I'm not going to miss somebody, especially those first few days, because a lot of people are only going to go for the first weekend or the first 3 or 4 days. So those days are kind of hectic, but just making sure I don't miss those people. And then I'll put like a star or something by them. Like, I need to make sure, whether I have to pay for an Uber or whatever I have to do to go see this person, I'm going to go do it. I would say that's one of the things I've really learned. And then on the backside of that, when I meet new people, John introduces me to someone at Summer League. As soon as I'm done talking to them, I get their number. I make a note in my phone. This is who this person is. This is who introduced me. This is what I talked to them about. So when I go to follow up with them or I see them again the next day, it's an easy transition because, if you're really out here ripping and running, you're going to meet a lot of people and you're going to have a lot of similar conversations over and over, and it can kind of get messy in your head. The third best practices, I would say, is I think Stacy maybe or Jeremiah touched on it, where it's like my thing I started doing, especially like I go and stay, which is kind of the third and fourth. Like I'll go for 8 or 9 days pretty much all the time. And even when it was hard, I would sleep on people's floors. Like I've roughed it at Summer League hard. And just because some of the best advice, Ryan Pannone, who's some of the coaching people in here may know, he was like the Summer League king. Like he leveraged Summer League better than anyone ever. And probably the second or third time I went, I met Ryan and he was like, whatever you need to do to stay as long as possible, you need to do. And I took that to heart. And so I've stayed at every crappy hotel in Vegas. I've slept on floors, all of that. But in doing that, my other thing is just like, I think Jeremiah said it is, I'll go and get the 2 people I kind of roll around with. And then hey, we're going to go sit in this section where there's plenty of seating, especially as the week goes on and there's less people. And then just invite a bunch of different people, to come sit with you for a game. And then they see people they know. And all of a sudden you're sitting with 10 people and you don't know 3 of them. And that's the easiest way to meet people, is when there's a common person between you all.
Yeah. I mean, on that note, it kind of reminds me of, so me and Bjorn and Mikey V, who you met early, like we were standing outside the hallway. And a couple of students from our class were like, hey, come meet us in between the hallway. And Matt came by as well. But it was like pretty soon we had 40 people just standing together in the hallway, and we were all introducing each other to each other. And so that's where, like, especially with like, you know, Bjorn and Jacob and some of the people from these classes, like, and we'll keep like the Slack channel here, we'll keep it open through Summer League. Like, it's a great place to go, like, hey, I'm watching a game at this gym at this time. And, you know, Bjorn, Mike Evie, or, you know, Jacob, you know, they can let you know like where they're sitting, and, you know, you guys can go join them and meet other people. Christian, what do you got?
Matt, you kind of mentioned something in passing when you're giving your little intro there. And if you can't really talk about it too much, totally understand. But you mentioned doing some under the table scouting work for somebody in the NBA. That's kind of been something I've been curious about for a while here, is like opportunities maybe to like just help individuals. You know, somebody who's doing something in the NBA, nothing official, but like, hey, can I take something off your plate? Like, how did that come about? What kind of things were you doing? Are you able to talk about that at all?
Yeah, I can talk about it. I mean, so like what I did was pretty formal. I did sign an NDA and all that, and this has been 5-6 years ago, but it's still, it was one of the things where then more people were transitioning. Like everyone now kind of has a grassroots guy on the scouting side. This is when not everyone had that, or they just had one person. So I have a background doing some grassroots stuff for Adidas. Adidas had a guy who knew a lot of stuff and was helping out an NBA team. He became overwhelmed. He trusted me. I was in the gym doing grassroots stuff. I live in Lexington, Kentucky, so I'm like 4 hours from, you know, Ohio State, Louisville, Cincinnati, Xavier, Tennessee, Indiana. So like it was easy for me to hop in the car and just go watch college games too. So I kind of fell into that, but that was just one of those things where it was a relationship I had made, like just chasing basketball, where I was like a dog chasing cars. I just said yes to everything and made this crazy network at different levels and kind of fell into it. Do those positions exist? Yes, without a doubt. Do I know much about them or how? Like that would be something where if you have an existing relationship with somebody in the scouting world in the NBA or like an independent scout, that they might be able to do some, you know, back channel type stuff for you. But obviously, if you're signing NDAs and all that, like it's not like some of these people said, it's kind of the people in the know type thing. Like I've attempted to do that. I went all in on the G League and NBA 2 years in a row and I missed. And so and dealing with that failure, I'm like, well, what am I going to do? I tried pursuing more of these type of spots and I never had any luck again. So, but I think those positions are definitely out there, and definitely with scouting services, you know, there's a lot of independent scouts out there and stuff who, you know, if you're good at something or you bring something to the table or you live in a region where you're able to do some things or you watch a lot of European basketball or whatever it is, I think that stuff exists though.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Noah.
Yeah, hey Matt. From all your journey, I actually had a question. You talk a lot about all the places you went, which sounds actually amazing, working in all those places, Japan, Czech Republic, everything. And but you talk about how you missed those opportunities to get to the NBA G League and how much of an objective it seems to be for you. People tend to say a lot about how it's all about the journey and not the destination. How much is the NBA and G League for you the destination, and how much did you manage to actually enjoy the journey, or do you still feel like on a path and looking forward, or did you actually at some point believe that where you were, you'd be happy with where you were if it never goes further?
That's a really good question. I am at my own personal crossroads trying to figure that out, sort of, because I've missed for so long. And obviously, it's still where I want to get to. But I've also come to terms with like, you can drive yourself crazy chasing this stuff too, where eventually sometimes like the juice is not worth the squeeze, like all that, where it's like, man, I can have a really good life in basketball doing some of these other things that I fell into. Like for me, I started training players and stuff on the side because I needed to make money. And 3 years later, that turned into training NBA players because I had this pro experience. But, you know, the first paid training session I had was two sixth grade girls teaching them left-handed layups. And 3 years later, I'm working with an NBA guy. So I think your objectives are going to change. Like I know, everyone's kind of different and comes from different backgrounds. But for me, my vision is shifted. It's still something I want to do, when no one sets out to, not reach their dreams or reach their goals. But sometimes like it may just not be in the cards for me. But like you said, lived an amazing life. I get to wake up every day and do what I love. I wake up when I want to. I go to bed when I want to. I've got to see a bunch of the world. So I've won in the end. And, I'm at a point in my life where I've got a little bit older and I've got to decide what's worth it and what's not worth it anymore. And that's a hard thing for anyone, I think.
Yeah, I get that. Thanks for the answer.
Austin, what do you got, brother?
Well, first of all, pleasure to meet you, Matt. You had mentioned how your journey brought you to different leagues and coaching in different leagues. I was curious, like, from your perspective, like, what are some differences you noticed between coaching in different leagues, right? Because, like, with the NBA, you saw years ago, we saw the import of, like, people doing the Spain pick and roll, things like that, right? So for you, it's like, what do you notice or what do you see what have you seen throughout your journey?
I would say for one, the officiating pretty much everywhere I've been is a lot different. So like officiating dictates a lot of the gameplay. If they're not going to call something, you need to take advantage of it, or just stuff like that. Like some of the places I've been, they don't call any screens or fouls on the defense when it's off ball screens. So when there's no point in sending a bunch of pin downs if they're just going to fist fight you to fight through and you're not going to get open anyways. So I would say that. There's obviously some, so much of the NBA is straight analytics driven and all of that. I mean, there's some variance in how teams play, but in general, it's not like there's a broad spectrum. Where abroad, like I was just in the Czech Republic when we faced a team that, set a ton of flex screens and was going to jam it on the block, and their five was going to shoot jump hooks, and it was hard to guard. And then we ran conceptual offense where I was, and no one else could like grasp why I would do that or whatever. But we were like a lower budget team, and it made us harder to guard. And I thought it gave us an advantage, and it did. But some of the people there thought I was crazy, the local media asking like, "What are you doing?" type thing. And then obviously just to the difference in just everything off the court does impact what's going on the floor. You know what I mean? We can just talk about the basketball piece, but when you're on the other side of the world as players or coaches or whatever, it's gonna, you're not your most comfortable sometimes.
Well, I appreciate the answer. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Matt, when are you going to be at Summer League this year?
I'm there. It's the first day is the 9th, correct? That's the Thursday. Is that correct? I'm the 9th through the 17th.
Oh, nice.
So I'm there a good chunk.
Awesome.
I'm there a good chunk.
Well, Matt, any words you want to leave our crew with before we wrap up?
There were two things I wrote down. I think kind of like what Stacy said was spot on. Like if you hear about an opening, basketball is so small where it's like if you know something, hey, the Rockets have an internship and somebody who might know about it, I would message them ASAP and be like, hey, who else do you know that's here that I can maybe talk to? Or if you meet someone new and you're just talking and you're, hey, what openings do you have, blah, blah, blah. And they say nothing. I'm like, all right, I heard about the Rockets may have blah, blah, blah. Do you know anyone I should talk to? And just start creating your web of people, because it is just all a big web. And that web may be a pre-existing relationships or people you met 5 minutes ago. And I think what someone else said too is just having something to talk about is super important. And I understand there's some people on here who don't have a ton of professional basketball experience. But even that may be, hey, this is a deck. This is something I created. I'm bringing you value, because all of those, you send a deck to anybody, whether it's a scouting thing or whatever, they're going to send it to someone in their scouting department who's going to upload it into a bigger database or whatever it may be, where like have something to talk about. And if you don't have anything, have something that you created that you can talk about and be like, hey, what do you think of this? What feedback would you give me? What could be better? What, if I was interviewing with you, what would you add to this? Or what could I have been more thorough on? And then I would say just the last thing is like, realistically, the top down, like we all want to meet the GMs and all that, but realistically, the people you're meeting right now at Summer League this year are the people that, might be hiring you in 2030. And I don't know what's going to happen between now and then, but like my own story right now, I'm the closest I've ever been to breaking in for sure. But the only reason I'm close to breaking in is because the people that I was running around with at Summer League in 2019 are in positions to help me finally, that they've had a little bit more luck than I have. And I have real genuine relationships and was sleeping on the floor with them and eating at, whatever with them at Summer League. So that would be my other thing. And, John will share my information. I'm out there like, every time I get on here with John, I always tell people like, here's my information, reach out. And like, I think 1 out of 10 people do or whatever. Like, to me, part of my thing is if someone's willing to talk to me, I'm going to go do it. And it may only be a 2-minute conversation, but I'd be dumb not to.
No, good stuff, Matt. Well, Matt, appreciate you coming through, and bummed I won't see you. Let me know if you make it to Toronto.
I'm trying to get to Toronto for sure.
Sounds good. The Honey Badgers are ready to go on another run, so
all right,
love to have you here for it. But appreciate you. Daniel, do you want to give people a heads up on tomorrow? What we got going on?
Yep. So tomorrow, kind of run through what Summer League actually looks like. So basically, like we'll start with kind of like budgeting, how you get out there, how much it costs, where you should stay, what you should wear, what you should pack. Kind of just like a checklist of things to do in advance, what you should bring, what you shouldn't bring. Should you hand out hard copies? Should you not hand out? All of those kind of do's and don'ts of Summer League. We'll go over that for probably the first 25, 30 minutes. And then do some mock interviews. So basically, it's not really like a formal interview, but at Summer League, you have a very limited amount of time to make an impression. Sometimes you'll be able to sit down with someone and talk to them for an hour while you're watching a game. More likely, you're going to get a quick intro in the hallway, a hotel lobby, and it's like 2 to 5 minutes where you have a chance to talk, connect, and have someone remember you. So working on the elevator pitch, like within those 5 minutes, kind of doing some role play interview prep scenarios. That's what Danny Thompson had mentioned we did a couple years ago that helps him prepare for his ESPN job. So we usually do 5 of those and give feedback on each one. And then just kind of open floor Q&A about best places to meet people, best places to, network, like what you should do. And then like kind of the protocol after Summer League. So you go to Summer League, you meet these people. What should you do after? How should you follow up? What should be your stay in touch strategy? What should be your application strategy? All of that. So that'll be kind of the rundown of tomorrow's class. But, be active, be engaged. Like, don't be afraid to volunteer for the mock interview. They're hard. They're difficult. Like, I will pepper you. I will be kind of a dick if I need to be a dick. Like, just to give you a sense of like how people in the positions of hiring power in the NBA might respond to what you're saying. So I want to give you as close of an example as possible. And so that any potential mistakes or things to improve, you can identify it now and not be in Vegas and be like, oh shit, I just had the meeting with the GM of the Austin Spurs and it didn't go well. I didn't even get a chance to tell him what I'm looking to do. And it's like, not having a game plan.
No, great stuff, Daniel. No, it's always a highlight of the class for sure. And like Danny said, it's like something people take apart. So I can just encourage everybody to be the first one to raise your hand up. Bjorn, anything you want to share before we get out of here?
Just to build on what Daniel said, like definitely take advantage of the opportunity. Like Daniel's been through the paces of this, knows what he's doing, has had a good track record of, evaluating, giving feedback. And for those of you who don't do it or while you're waiting your turn, take like special note of like what you do like and what you don't like and help like, make that a part of what you do or what you want to avoid going through it. But yeah, like I said, I'll drop a couple pages of some pointers that I have, just having gone through Summer League myself and been on both sides of the team side and then looking for a job side, and what I found works over the years.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you all. Thanks for coming to the session tonight, and we'll be back at the same time tomorrow. So I'll drop a link to this session in the notes, and I'll also put a Zoom link for tomorrow, and then I'll send that to your email as well. So have a great night, and we'll see you guys later.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, y'all.